Welcome back on the AM show. Let's focus on the optics of the politics now. The New Patriotic Party on our radar, of course, on Saturday the 27th, the parliamentary candidate slot will be up to be grabbed or up for grabs. And we have Musa Dankwa of Global Info Analytics. They have been analyzing from the different constituencies, and they have a bit of a report to share with us. Mr. Dankwa, a very good morning to you.
Good morning to you, Benjamin.
It's good to have you, since I think this is the first time this year, right?
Yes.
Right. How is Global Info Analytics doing?
We've been busy, not bad at all. Last year we were quite busy, and we expect this year to be extraordinarily busy.
It's a political year. It will be even more busy.
Yes, more busy for us, but we are coping very well.
All right. So let's talk about this latest survey that you conducted. Give us a bird's eye view of what came to bear before we get to the proper breakdown and who is likely to do what. Why did you even embark on this?
I mean, no pollster will sit back and see things unfold like that without having to have a deep stake into the primaries and see what is happening. Some of the races are very controversial. Some have national interest or high national importance, and we ought to know what is happening in those races. So I think the reason why we went there was because of the figures involved and the consequences that we're looking at that could shape the next parliament.
So how did you conduct, what was your methodology? Phone calls, how did you conduct this?
We do have the list of NPP delegates across all the constituencies.
Okay.
So we sampled them to give us a margin of error of roughly around 3%. So we interviewed minimum of 450 delegates. In turn of, we interviewed 390 delegates. That gave us a margin of error of 3.14%. So we placed a phone calls to them. And we identify ourselves as calling from Global Info, or we are conducting an opinion poll on the NPP primaries. Would they want to engage us? Most of them do. Very few of them say, well, I'm busy. But we do get a good response from delegates.
I see. I'm looking at some of the figures here at Dansia Sokwa, 450. These are interesting constituencies. Bekwai, 450. In Shiaeso, Dr. Sticker, Stephen's constituency, Stephen Amo's constituency, 450. Domekwa Benya, 504. Not surprised looking at the numbers in that constituency. Yendi, wait, is that the most populous?
I think so.
Constituency? Because I know it's pretty huge. In someone with Guajiri, where you have Heifotsiao trying to get in there, and of course there is the old one, Frank Anodompre, in there. And these numbers, though, do you feel they sufficed to give you a true picture of what to expect in that? In that
they are giving us a margin of error of 3% up to 4% margin of error. So whatever we have within that margin of error, we are comfortable with it. In some cases, we interview more than half of the delegates in that constituency randomly. So that should give us a very fair view of what is happening there.
What sort of questions were you, because usually when there's a survey like this, are you asking leading questions? Are you asking questions that, I'm just looking at are you asking questions that would provoke the people to say certain things? Or are you posing questions that would just let them tell you incisively what is on their mind and how they will vote? So how did you structure your questions to these people?
We do understand fully the impact of leading questions on the polls. And the last thing we want to have is to be misled in the polls, because we have our credibility down the drain. So we ask very neutral questions. And for us, in fact, if you follow us, we are the only one that publish our questionnaire before we go to the polls.
Oh, I see.
We put the questionnaire that we're going to ask voters well ahead of time before we even get to the field. But for this particular delegate poll, we asked them 3 questions.
Which are?
Would you say that your constituency has received a fair share of its development under the leadership of this incumbent MP?
Okay.
Straightforward.
So has your MP been able to lobby hard enough for you? MPs are technically not agents of development,
Absolutely.
but somehow we have made them that because of the failures of the system.
Yes.
But do you feel your MP has lobbied enough? That's basically
Yes.
the question.
Yes.
Okay. Then the second one.
How would you rate the performance of the current MP?
Okay. So now it gets a bit more personal.
Personal.
So has the person lobbied enough? Then how would you rate on the back of that?
Yeah.
How would you rate
His
the MP?
performance.
And then finally,
in the upcoming primaries, who do you intend to vote for?
okay. Did you see a certain linkage, nexus between the answers given in the first two questions and the decision
Yes.
adopted in the third question, where now they determine where they are voting?
Absolutely, because the first two questions would enable us to triangulate the third question. For those who are probably being cagey with their responses, we could see how they rated the MP's performance, and that would give an idea, if they were very, very open, how they would have voted.
Okay. So at least it becomes very clear what your methodology was, and these questions that you posed to those delegates who would be voting. Let's get into the constituencies now.
Yes.
Unless there's something else you want to add before we get into the constituencies. But I see some very interesting ones, like I said, in Sawame Dwajiri, Anodompre, Hayford Siao, among others. They are not the only ones. There's Yendi, which is interesting because Farouk Aliu Mahama is in there. He won by quite a margin in the last election. I think maybe by about 20,000 votes thereabouts. It was about 40,000 plus to something. Ewutu Senya East constituency, there's Bantama, big deal for the MPP. In Shiaeso, Dr. Stephen Amwa, among others. So let's walk through them. When you look at them, first off, generally, what picture is painted from these constituencies where you sampled?
The picture we've seen is that it's kind of reflecting the tendency and the behavior of delegates that we saw in the NPP presidential primaries.
Okay, which is what?
Which is people who tend not to disclose their voting intention.
Okay, they want to remain
silent.
Okay.
And they are, in some cases, a huge chunk of the delegates. And what we are seeing is that from the experiences we saw in the NPP presidential primaries, those delegates who are not disclosing tend to vote for the outside candidate, not the establishment candidate.
Okay, so basically you foresee that as far as those who are not telling you what is on their mind is because there is some sort of, so to speak, agenda.
Yes.
They are cooking something.
Yes. Yes.
So when we look at them, okay, so let's get into the details. So here, for example, I believe this is Ewutu Senya East, right? Ewutu Senya East constituency.
Okay.
All right, so let's get there. So it means that group of undecided 12%, they are the fear delegates John was speaking of, blessed memory, was speaking about. Fear delegates.
Yes.
Because those ones, they can do you pasa on D-Day. Yes. But let's walk through the figures. You have,
if you look at
Mavis Hawa Kumsin there. And what is the tail of the tape?
It tells me that she is safe because 96% of the delegates feel that under her leadership, they have received the fair share of their development.
Okay.
And 33% said she's performed excellently.
Okay.
And 61% said that she's performed very good or good. And then when we ask them who do they intend to vote for, you can see that 80% said they will vote for Hawa Kumsin.
Right.
If you look at those who are not disclosing,
which is quite a stamp of approval.
Yes,
I mean, give or take, it means that person is in, this has become a term on our political platform, is in a comfortable lead.
Yes. Yes. And if you look at those who are not disclosing, they're a very small fraction of the delegates.
Right.
So they will not make any difference with the outcome of the election. Okay. So even if they have an agenda, that agenda cannot unseat Hawa Kumsin.
Okay. So quite a number of, let's look at it again. And so Ewutu Senya East, and there you have it. Ewutu Senya East. I'm just trying to get back to it. And so looking at the level of approval, definitely it looks like it's going the way of Mavis Hawa Kumsin. Maybe also sometimes I hear they are affected when they get positions, ministerial appointments and all of that. It's a stamp of approval for the constituency, so to speak. But looking at the rest, Kweku Boateng 1%, Bernard nothing. Oh, undisclosed 8%, undecided 12%. So from where you sit, you would say that it is high. It's game, set, and match.
Yes.
How Akumsin takes
Absolutely.
Utu Senya East.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Let's get into the very next constituency in Sawam, Eduajiri constituency, and one of those on the ballot is actually here in the studio with me. He decided to show up after we had started the conversation. Hayford, a very good morning to you.
Good morning, how are you?
I am well.
I like your suit.
Thank you. Did you bring us some books? Since you are. All right, so Hayford Siao is going for that seat. He wants to upend the fortune or the reign of Frank Ano Dompre. Any words to share with us before we get into what the statistics show in that constituency?
I'm not trying to end somebody's.
I said upend.
Upend.
Not
somebody's
end.
reign.
Upend.
Upend somebody's reign. The NPP constitution is quite clear. Every 4 years there's an opening, the seat becomes vacant, and there's an opportunity for potential candidate to aspire for the position. And for Nsama Dwajiri, been living there for a very long time and supporting the party. I understand the challenges of the party within the constituency, and I also understand the challenges of the broad community of Nsama Dwajiri, and hence I am bringing myself up to be voted on by the delegates of the NPP in Nsama Dwajiri. This vote by this delegate, they look at two things: your vision for the party and how you can help the party to be able to increase its vote within the constituency. And of course, your vision for the entire community of Nsama Dwajiri. And I believe that the vision I have espoused, I have shared with the people of Nsama Dwajiri, is getting into their hearts and minds. And that is why that constituency has become a hotspot for discussion on various platforms.
Okay, so 3 questions that the survey asks. Would you say that your constituency has received its fair share of the development under the leadership of your current MP? How would you rate the performance of the current MP in the upcoming primaries in the constituency? Who would you like to represent your constituency and therefore likely to win your vote? These were the questions that were posed. Interestingly, though, before we get to the tail of the tape in Sawam, Eduajiri, I see a comment here which got me laughing. Stephen Ajay says, please, can you ask Mr. Dankwa whether he is not sure money can change the polls? This is because candidates may like to vote for someone, but because of money offered and oaths sworn, they may change their minds. Maybe the oaths could change your
absolutely. I mean,
your survey report.
No pollster can really tell with definitive answers what a delegate will do given some sums of money. But what we know is that from what we've known, heard, both sides give. But in the end, the delegates would ask themselves, who is the best to represent us?
Even after swearing the oath.
Yes, I mean, we've now gone beyond those.
Yeah, people will still swear and they will do you passa. Okay, so let's get into Sawam Eduajiri. Hey, had you seen this before we came on air?
I have seen excerpts on it being posted on Twitter.
Okay, so let's go into Sawam Eduajiri. Walk us through it, Mr. Dankwa.
If you look at the first question, whether they have received the fair share of the development under the leadership of the MP, you have 80% said yes, they have. And then no 4%, and no opinion 16%. When we asked them about how they rate the MP, 40% said excellent, 39% very good or good, average 6%, very poor or poor 1%, no opinion 14%. Normally, if an MP is going to be in trouble, look at the very poor or poor rating. Yeah. Here it's very, very, very small, 1%. And then when we asked them about who they intend to vote for, 68% said Anodompre, 0 for Edu Tutu, and then 3% for Mr. Siam. But you have 29% who are not disclosing. And if our theory is right,
29%.
29%.
That's still...
Those are the guys who normally undo the incumbents. So we expect them to vote for the challenges rather than incumbents.
Okay, so the challengers are David Edututu Jr., Hayford Sian, undecided. So apart from Frank Anodopre, the next person is Hayford Sian with 3%. But that's pretty low, 3%.
That's
unless he's getting the chunk of the 29+% in addition
normally,
and shaking something from those who said they would vote for.
In fact, normally what we see is that they tend to get over 90% of that undisclosed.
Okay.
Yes. They tend to get over 90% of that.
And was this survey done on delegates?
Yes, delegates. Randomly selected delegates on the phone.
What percentage of the delegates?
We interviewed 450 delegates.
In Nsamad region?
Yes.
What do you make of this, Hayford?
Well, I actually have absolutely no faith in this polls because
you have no faith in these polls?
Yes, because I know that the delegates of Nsamad region have been telling me about people calling them randomly and them giving them fake information. And so really, the people...
Oh, they have told you?
Yes.
Some of them have told you that people have called them randomly and you've given them fake information.
Because they don't know who is on the other line. And they know that the threat and intimidation of delegates, and the way some people want to benefit on the D-Day, they don't want to go and miss out on the payment of ex gratia to them. So some of them, if you call them, they will tell you, yeah, we will vote for the incumbent. But they know that they will not vote for them because they don't know where the calls are coming from.
So if I understand you correctly, you are insinuating that there is this push from the incumbent to use money to get the votes. No, I mean, let me situate. That is the first part, because they are getting calls, but he said they don't want to miss out on their, quote, ex gratia. I don't know how that became ex gratia, but they don't want to miss out on whatever cash will come from.
Yes.
So they will say, because they don't know where it's coming from. Obviously, maybe per what you're saying, the incumbents may be trying to find out who is for me, who is not against me. So the one who is not for me, no cash will come. That's what you're saying.
Because, transportation will be given and nobody want to miss out on the transportation that they are supposed to be receiving. And so definitely they know that what exists in the constituency is that there's always discrimination. When something is being shared, some people are tagged as red, green, yellow, and so they don't benefit from it. So now a lot of the delegates who are going to vote against the MP are following him and are praising him. And are really saying yes to a lot of the polls that has been happening across the constituency. Even people come and organize.
So when you say what you're saying, you started off by suggesting that you don't think these polls are credible. You don't believe in them. No, it is not that the polls are not credible. It is that if we are to go by what you are saying, then the respondents are not being credible in there. It is not that the poll itself is
but
not.
If the respondents are not credible, you get.
No, it is not that the respondents themselves are not credible. They are not giving credit. They are intentionally, per what you are saying, intentionally not giving. As for that one, a pollster has no control over such a.
That is why it is dangerous for you to rely on the data.
So for you are saying that come the 27th, what we are seeing here with Frank Anodopre getting about 68% of approval ratings, at least per the 450 that were sampled, that is not going to be the tail of the tape at the end of the day.
Yes, and I predict that probably the 68% will probably be even for me.
Okay.
And on Saturday, you will see the results. You'll be sitting here and you'll be calling me.
Okay. I mean, I like your confidence. I always like it when people come like this, because we've seen in the past, the last primaries, right? You had people, same, and some won, and we were like, okay, you said it and you did it. Others too, they had done in our local parlance, we say waroshieti, gidi gidi, and then so it could go either way. Of course, we wish you the very best, but Frank Anodopre is also not a minnow in the game. Yes. He has strong bones, and you would need to put up a fight to get past him. Okay, let's get into other constituencies. There's also Yendi.
Yes.
My friend is there, son of the former Vice President Farouk Aliyu Mahama. What do you make of his chances? The last time I had an interaction with him, he was very positive. He said, he would. I don't know whether he mentioned that he would get 70% plus. I don't know. I don't recall. Don't put me on record on that because I could be wrong. But as for optimistic about winning and getting he was. And if you look at that constituency, it's been predominantly, I think it's only once that the NDC has won it. What is the picture there?
Right. In terms of their view about their fair share of development, 78% said yes, they've received their fair share under his leadership. 78%. And then if you ask them to rate his performance, 25 said he's done excellent, 41 said he's done very good or good, 10% is poor, 18 average, and 6% no opinion. Now, these questions that are asked, sometimes the delegates would not be aware that we ask them who they want to vote for. So they tend to be truthful in the performance rating. So if they come to lie, you're able to cross-tab and identify them that they were lying.
Okay.
So naturally, if he doesn't like the MP, you rate him very poor, average, and we've seen that elsewhere. And then when they come to vote, it's that reflecting in their voting intention. Here, when we ask them their voting intention, 44% said they will vote for Farouk Mahama. 25% will vote for Abibata Shani. 14% are undecided. And 17% are not disclosing their voting intention. So he is in a good position to win the primaries in Yendi. If you look at his overall performance rating and where he is in the polls.
But if you look at Yendi, okay, you would also see that it's pretty curious. 44%, I mean, the approval rating is high, 44% saying they'll vote for him. But then you look at the undisclosed, then you look at those who are going elsewhere. It's not high and dry for him, is it?
Not quite, but you see, we do establish who among the two is the candidate of the establishment. That's also an important factor here. We understand Abibata Shani is being backed by people in the VP's office. So she has become,
that's what you hear?
Yes, we talk to people, so we hear what the delegates tell us.
Abibata Shani is being supported by people in the VP's office against Farouk Aliyu Mahama?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So she has become the de facto candidate for the establishment. And Aliyu Mahama probably has become an insurgent, even though he's the incumbent MP. So those who are not disclosing their vote, we believe they will go for Aliyu Mahama on the day.
Okay. Now, there are some other interesting constituencies. I want us to take a quick look at them. I'll come back to Hayford Sian for more on what Nsawam Edwajiri can expect. But there's Bekwai, and you know why I'm interested in Bekwai. There's Inshiaeso, Dr. Stephen Amwa, Bantama. You can go to Adansia, Asokwa, among other places. Just briefly walk us through. And Dome Kwabenya. Hey, I was about to forget the biggest fish, Dome Kwabenya. Yes. Let's start from Dome Kwabenya.
Okay, Dome Kwabenya. The incumbent is in real trouble.
Oh, she is?
Very, very big trouble. If you look at the performance rating, excellent 7%, very good or good 29%, average 32%, very poor 29%, no opinion 6%. Who do you intend to vote for? Mike Okwe, 43%. Adwasafo, 10%. Sheila, 10%. Undisclosed, 24%. Undecided, 13%.
We know in the last primary, it was by the skin of her teeth that she got the vote, by a handful of votes.
Yes.
And Michael Kwe has been going to that same place for quite a while now. So it means...
No, Adwasafo will lose the primaries this Saturday.
You're saying categorically that she will lose this?
Yes.
Okay.
We've been there, that's where we live. So we understand what is going on in the community very well.
Okay, so I guess the picture is pretty clear. Let's take a quick look at some of the others and come back into the studio.
Right, then let's look at Bantama. People were expecting huge battle in Bantama. It will not happen.
It will not?
No.
Why?
I mean, 99% of the delegates we spoke to on the telephone said they have received a fair share of the development under his leadership.
I see.
And then another 99% said excellent or very good. And who do you want to vote for is 94%. Asensu Boachi.
Asensu Boachi has his own issues within the party. There are so many things that have come up with some threats from certain quarters and all of that. But here, 94% saying they'll go for him. I guess he's home and dry.
Home and dry, yes. Nothing will change. The numbers may slightly differ, but the outcome will not change.
Okay. In Shiaso?
In Shiaso, now, his performance in terms of fair share is about 79%. Said they've received fair share of the development. And then 8% rate him excellent, and 55% said he's done very good or good. Average 29%. Very poor 1%. No opinion, 7%. But then when you ask them who do you intend to vote for, he only records 21% vote. And then Kennedy Kwesi can come 5%. George Odum 2%. Undecided 29%. Undisclosed 44%. That's where the secret lies.
So when you look at this, what would you say?
The question I ask myself is, who is the establishment candidate there? Is it the MP or the MCE? My natural conclusion would be that it will be the MCE. All the shenanigans and the attempt to stop him from running had come from certain quarters which can be linked to the establishment. Probably they realized that Dr. Stephen may not be in the strong position, so they wanted to probably remove the threat. From that perspective, I think there could be a tough race in Shiaso, and I wouldn't be surprised.
He's an appointed deputy minister of trade.
Yeah, there could be.
So his loss will be the party's loss.
Yes.
In a way.
Yes.
Anyway, let's wrap with Adansi Asokwa before we come back to Nsawan Edwadjiri. Of course, because of KT Hammond.
The boss, his boss.
The one who says some young men with beards have coconut heads.
Now, in his case,
interestingly, there are two young men in the studio with beards. I guess that makes two coconut heads.
Only 39% said they've received fair share of development under his leadership.
Right.
53% said no, they have not received fair share of development under his leadership. 8% said...
That's not a good sign, is it?
That's not a good sign. 8% said no opinion.
Another dangerous group. No opinion.
When you ask them, how do you rate his performance? 7% said excellent. 40% very good or good. Very poor, 11%. Average, 29%. No opinion, 12%.
If you look at poor or very poor, added to average, added to no opinion, that doesn't look good.
Absolutely.
That's like 30, so
almost
40, 52%.
Yeah, 53%, yes.
And then you see, it gets even worse when you look at the voting intentions.
Absolutely.
KT Hammond will vote for KT Hammond, 23%.
Kwabena Nkansa Samoa, 5%. Samoa Benfo, 4%. Undisclosed, 33%.
Undecided, 34%.
There is really worrying for him.
Hey.
But together, they are about 67% of delegates.
Well, this is it. Let's conclude with Nsawan Edwadjiri. You don't have faith in this. You feel your people on the ground are not speaking up. They are not saying what their intentions are. Maybe out of intimidation, right?
Yes. There is a lot of intimidation. There's a lot of threats. People have been tagged as red, yellow, green. The red will not be given TNT. The yellow, they have to do something. I mean,
oh wow! People have been given color codes.
Yeah, they've been given color coding, and that is a disrespect to our delegates. And I have been telling them that under no circumstance should we be color coding delegates. Why should we be categorizing them and discriminating against them?
This is the first time I'm hearing of color coding delegates.
Yes. And the delegates feel they are being insulted because they are being told you are red, you are yellow, you are green. And I feel this is the absolute level
where red is whom, yellow is whom.
Red means that you'll be voting for Hayford. Yellow means you are in the middle. And so we have to do a lot more work on you.
Green, you are voting for us.
Green, you are voting for us.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
So the money will go to the green.
I don't know about that.
The
but
TNT
at least
will
there's
be
a
for
TNT for you to. Yes, the green people, they are sure they are going to get it. But the red, you are out of the equation. So my question is, if you win the primaries, how do you go to the red people and tell them to come and campaign for you?
Yeah, that's an interesting question.
You see, and this is why I have been preaching that we need unity in Nsawan Edwadjiri. We have to stop this discrimination. If it is one person you are giving as TNT, allow every single delegate to benefit from it. If you continue to go on this path, what it means is that you are creating division within the party.
But this whole bit about even the TNT, your party technically is against it, right? The last time we had primaries and all the talk about, the party says it takes, well, at least that was on the presidential level. But this whole bit about TNT, now we see people pounding fufu, even at the assembly level, we're seeing all kinds of things. Don't you think we're overdoing it with all these bits? Because in the end, TNT is meant to influence. That's the bottom line, isn't it?
And for me, this is why I've been preaching to the delegates of Nsaman Regime, is that anything that is given to you now is a short-term benefit. Think about leadership that will bring you jobs. Think about leadership that will show you how to fish, not fish and give it to you. And so the people of Nsaman Regime, and I know my party has been preaching against all of this. And for a candidate like Hayford Sian, I don't have. And so I will continue to share my vision and ideas. And I hope the people, the delegates will vote for me so that I can be able to create the opportunities, bring in investors into Nsaman Regime, be able to brand Nsaman Regime as the preferred destination for investors, in Ghana. If we are able to do attract money invested in the constituency, a lot of people will get jobs. There's going to be an entrepreneurship program, loan schemes. You don't wait. You don't wait till election. Then you go and give people money. When indeed, even that money, you could have even given to them as loan to support their businesses. Not election time. Because election, these people have been empowered already. And you will not even have to go to them to campaign. Because you have given them capital to be able to do their trade.
So let me ask you something. In Sawam Edwajiri, ahead of this parliamentary candidates primary, you will not be giving TNT, right? Hayford Sian will not be giving TNT.
I haven't said that because people have to move. If I have to move people, I have to be able to make sure that they are compensated as such. Election is a lot. We are raising resources to be able to make sure that people that have to supervise things, training that have to be done for people, and a lot of things are going in. So there's a lot of expenditure involved.
So in essence, it's also a battle about who can give more TNT. In the end,
I have no idea, but I think the delegates are not going to rely on who is giving more, who is giving less. I think they are looking at the policies, and Hayford Sian is the only candidate in Nsaman Regime that has demonstrated that he has been able to share visionary direction for the constituency, both for the benefits.
And you think Frank Anodonpre lacks that?
I haven't heard any of his policies. He has been attacking my policies that I've been sharing.
Oh, he has, eh?
Yes. I have a policy in place to support the constituency. The constituency does not have a befitting office. Hayford says that he's going to raise...
That is a party office.
Yes, a party office. Hayford says he's going to raise the resources so that we can have a befitting party office built for the party.
But wait, how is that part of... Because when you become a member of parliament, you are a member of parliament for the constituency, regardless of who voted you. So why is that part of your agenda?
It's a political party that has voted for you. The political machinery needs to be strong. And you cannot run a party that has very sensitive information from rented places. And I believe that if we really want to support our party people, we need a proper functioning office. And that is why I am going to raise resources with all party people in Nsaman Regime so that we can have a befitting office.
Okay.
I am going to make sure that in election 2024, my polling station executives will have budget to do their house-to-house campaign. 2024 is not about fanfare rallies. It's about going to the voters, their houses, knocking on doors and sharing the good project that has been done by His Excellency, the President and the Vice President. The people of Nsaman Regime must know, and house-to-house campaign will be done. People need a budget to operate with. Hayford is saying that he's going to give polling station executive a budget to work with in their various electoral areas.
Okay.
Hayford is saying that election is a risk and people will be moving in and out. They need a life insurance policy. I have negotiated with SIC to arrange a group health insurance policy for all polling station executives, constituency executives, electoral area coordinators, patrons, and elders of the party. And I have said, I am going to do this a life insurance policy for them. I am saying to the delegate of Nsaman Regime that they have never received any form of training. You are polling station executive. What is the function of a chairman, a secretary, a youth organizer, a women organizer? No training has been. Hayford is saying that he's going to give them
okay, so we have to go. It is obvious you are not disheartened by this poll,
no,
right?
No, definitely.
I just have an interesting question for you. If you can address it in 20 seconds, then I'll let Mr. Dankwa end. How do you intend to use your common fund?
So, I mean, key areas.
20 seconds, like
Key
straight
area
up.
is education.
Education, that's
Providing scholarship for those that have finished senior high school and are looking forward to enter university.
All right, thank you. Musa Dankwa, you have the final word. Let's go. So when you look at this, where likely, I mean, what is your summary? Why they lose? Why they economy? What is the
quickly go,
very quickly?
Bantama,
1 minute maximum.
Bantama will be Asasubuachi. Ewutusenya will be
Hawakumsen.
Bekwai would not be COP Mensa. I think the young guy would.
COP Alex Mensa.
He will not win the seat.
He will not win.
No, he will not win the seat.
I see. Okay.
And then Adjosafo will lose the seat.
Adjosafo will also lose in Dominicana.
In Tano North, it's a dead heat between Frida Prempe and Gideon Bwako. Dead heat.
The Minister for Sanitation and
Water. And the doctor at the Office of the Vice President. The dead heat.
Okay, well, we'll see how things pan out. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining. I wish you the best in Nsawam Graduate. I wish you the best with your polls. If a lot of it pans out right, we'll come back here. And maybe if it turns out right in his instance, which he's hoping it does not, we'll come back and have this conversation again. Media like these ones. So those who joined us for the conversation, Musa Dankwa, he is with Global Info Analytics, and of course, Hayford Siao. He's CEO, Ghana Library Authority. He's gunning for the position of parliamentary candidate for the NPP in Nsawam Edwejiri. My name